are powers on Earth too hidden to be seen, and conspiracies too vast to comprehend. For years, the world has seen fact distorted, reality manipulated, and the truth concealed. Join the Pierre Sebak podcast to uncover the real meanings behind ancient aliens and their symbolism.
Hi, this is Pierre Sebak, unlocking the keys to the mysteries. Now today I wanted to look at the correspondence between God and the seraphim, and also how they relate to the Watchers and to grey aliens. And I wanted to try and discuss this and show the correspondences, because I actually think that they're very interesting, particularly when we look at the modern traditions or the occult traditions of grey aliens and how they actually correspond with the ancient deities. And when we begin to deconstruct this, there is a close correspondence, and this is important to understand and to know, particularly when we're dealing with the scatological tradition, which is this classified discourse, this redacted tradition appertaining to the gods and their study of angelic vessels, and how this tradition is encoded within religions. So first of all, I want to look at the aliens, and the aliens, they can be understood to be a watcher or a shining one. And indeed, when we look at the occult tradition of the grey alien, the ocular mascot of the grey alien, the eyes, we can see that the alien is typically deemed to be a watcher. In many versions, or in many accounts of aliens, we see that they are often shining. They're often deemed as spirit light in terms of that they can walk through walls. So I want to look at some of the etymologies and see how the grey aliens actually correspond to the gods. And then I think we'll move on then to how grey aliens actually, how they actually are interrelated also with angels. And we're seeing that the same type of signifiers are playing out not only with the gods and the deities, but we're seeing that the symbolism is also identical when we're dealing both with angels and with deities, and also how this also goes into the folklore as well in the traditions of the fairies. Many of the signifiers found with the fairies are also identical with the seraphim and also with the grey alien, and within Arabic folklore this would appertain to the jinn. So first of all, I want to look at the aliens, a watcher or a shining one. And I want to have a look how the grey is a synonymous with both a god or a watcher. So when we look at the etymology of grey, if we use the plural noun in the English, we get the wording greys, which is an alien. And greys is a word play on gaze, which is to watch, and glaze, which is the gloss. In other words, luster, something which shines. And so the grey alien in this respect is synonymous with a watcher or a shining one. Now, just so that we're clear of what a watcher or a shining one is, in the ancient Semitic, in the Hebrew, Sophepha watcher is related to a seraph, and serapha, which is fire. Also within the Apocryphal traditions, the watchers were deemed as Erin, which is a shining one or a watcher. It's polymorphic. Now the Erin in the Testament of Amram were described as having the countenance of a viper. This is because the wording Erin is a wordplay on Awim, which is a serpent. We also see that there is a correspondence between the Elohim and Erin, hence the correspondence between the Greek word theos, a god, and theoros, which is a watcher. Now this brings us neatly on to the etymology of God. I just want to go over the terminology grey so that we're clear again. Greys is a plural word for an alien, is related to gaze, which is to watch, glaze, which is gloss or luster, but we're seeing the same correspondence also in the Greek with theos, a god, Theros, a watcher, phos, which is light. In this respect, we could also say that Theos, a god, is appertaining to or closely related to Therion, which is a beast, which is used to refer to a dragon within the apocryphal traditions. Hence, the word drakon is coming from the Old Greek word drakos, which is an eye. Drakein, which is to see, is also closely related to the word to shine and related in the Greek to the word to flash. So theos, God, theoros, a watcher, phos, light, is a close cognate of graze, gaze and glaze. Similarly, this is polyglottal. So the Greek wording for a god, theos, a god, theoros, a watcher, and phos, light, is also found within the Hebrew vernacular as well. So Elohim, God, is related to Erin, which are the watchers, and Erin, which are the shining ones. So the gods can be viewed as the watchers or the shining ones. The shining ones is an esoteric signifier of Sirius Aster, the shining star Sirius, the scorching star Sirius, and hence the jinn are deemed as being born from fire. Again, that relationship between seraph and Surepha, which is fire. Those who are born from fire are born from Sirius. Now, with the alien, we can see that the alien, therefore, can be represented as a type of watcher or a shining one. And these are synonyms in the Greek and in the ancient Aramaic for a god. A god is a watcher or a shining one. Now, the gods are a type of seraphim or an angel. We can also say that the angels are closely synonymous with the fairy and jinn. Now, although the jinn and the fairy are often seen as to be separate species, the symbolism often crosses over, and there is certainly a very good argument to be made that the seraphim and the jinn are identical, and therefore the angel and the jinn are interchangeable. And indeed, the Hebrew word seraphim, by the classical authors, translate the terminology seraphim into the Arabic as a jinn, and this is because the watchers are the shining ones. The watchers are born from fire, hence the correspondence with the jinn. Now, I just want to make this, I want to try and show the relationship between gaze, which is to watch, and glaze, which is gloss. So there is this, if you like, this connection in the English between graze, gaze and glaze, but also there's a connection in the Hebrew with the seraphim angel, Sopheh for watcher, Surepha, which is fire. Okay, in English, graze, gaze and glaze. Now we can also see that the Karen is a type of familiar spirit. It's translated traditionally or conventionally as a companion, a constant companion, but in this respect is a familiar spirit. Now the word in Karen, which is a companion jinn, is closely related to Erin, which are the watchers, or Erin, which are the shining ones. Terminology Erin is polymorphic. It is referring to a seraphim. So the tradition of Karen, which is a constant companion, is closely related to the seraphim, and hence the terminology of jinn, which is a spirit, is related to, in the Hebrew etymology, of ayin, which is an eye. Morphologically, the J and the Y are interchangeable within the Semitic languages. So ayin and I, jinn. And the jinn are those who are born from fire. Now, interestingly, we can say that the jinn, peri, which is a type of jinn in the Persian, is translated into English as a fairy. And traditionally, the jinn are thought of to be a type of fairy. So we see that there is this correspondence, if you like, between the fey, view, which is to see, and fire. Now, the fairy is coming from the etymology, from the Persian etymology of peri. There is this morphological switch or phonetic switch between the p and the f sound, which would be found, for example, in the Greek word pater, which is father, pater and father in English and Greek. Now, the word fairy, archaically fey, is consistent phonetically with view. As I've mentioned before, it's a morphological split, and we can say it's a type of bivarication on the verb peer, which is to watch. So fairy can be viewed, is connected both to the etymology of view, but also peer, which is to watch. Notice also that a peer is a type of lordship as well. Lordship, those who are born from a ship or a vessel. How do they represent themselves? They represent themselves with a shield. Pleon, which is a boat, is related to oplon, a shield. Opolite, which is a soldier, symbolically the angelic host, which are related to Apui, the abductors. Herpeton, which is a reptile. The reptiles are those who seize, hence the connection in the Latin between rapir, which is a rapist, or those who seize, and rapir, which is a reptile. Now, the Peria jinn is also closely concordant in the ancient Arabic, in the Akkadian language, with Pior, a snake. So the jinn, again, the jinn are translated as the seraphim, and this is consistent. This is what we would expect from the translations. So, in summary, we can say that the grey alien is connected to a god or a watcher. It's specifically identified with a watcher or a shining one, hence the correspondence between greys and alien, gaze to watch, glaze, which is gloss, found in the Greek etymology, theos god, theros watcher, phos light, or in the Hebrew, Elohim god, Erin the watchers, Erin the shining ones. Okay, again, if we wanted to apply that to the seraphim angels, that would be the seraphim angel, seraph an angel, sopheth a watcher, serapha, which is fire. And so we can say that a god or a watcher is very closely aligned to the seraphim. It's a definition which is also very similar to an angel, a jinn, or a fairy. Okay, now the angels are identified with alien abduction. I've done separate videos on ancient alien abduction and the correspondence between deities and abductors. So if you're interested in that, please look at those videos as well. Okay, we can also state that the grey aliens are found within contemporary ufology. They're connected with the idea of being spirited away, which is also correlated with the angelic abductors. This goes back into the scaphological tradition, and the scaphological tradition is the study of angelic vessels within the ancient religious and mythological tradition. Specifically, it's the study of angelic ships, vessels which are related to angels, such as baskets, barrels. They appertain to the cytological tradition, and I've done a separate video on the cytological tradition as well. In addition, I've also done videos on scaphology, so if you're interested in looking at the scaphological or cytological tradition, you can look at my videos. Okay, this is Pierre Sabak. I hope that you've enjoyed the videos. I would ask that you please pass these videos around. I think this is very important information. It's very obscure information, but it is information which relates to the occult tradition of ufology, to the birth of ufology. It's something which is not really very well understood, but it's an important component to the ufological tradition. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please give me a thumbs up if you have. This is Pierre Sabak. Let's make this a better world. Thank you very much. Thank you.